name is Ashley. This is Life Beyond Lux, and today we are going to talk about the difference between a silk top and a mono top, topper, or wig. So a little bit of backstory. I was recently just in British Columbia visiting my mother, who was recently diagnosed with glioblastoma, and she's starting chemotherapy this week. So of course the concern about whether or not she's going to lose her hair is there. On top of everything else, she couldn't have a daughter more prepared or more anxious to find her the perfect alternative hair. But when I was visiting her, I had two pieces with me. One was a silk top and one was a mono top piece. So I was able to show her really quickly the differences between the two, as well as the differences between human hair and synthetic hair. And if that's something you're wondering about, I'm going to make another video, because helping her really made me realize that I do need to do a video on the comparison between the two. So stay tuned for that. But today I'm going to focus specifically on the difference between mono top and silk top, looking at human hair pieces. So my mom doesn't know if she's going to lose her hair or not. But with the possibility of it, she wants to be sort of armed and ready to know what to do in terms of making a purchasing decision. So for her, going with the silk top is not going to be an option if she loses a substantial amount of hair. And I'm going to show you why. So a silk top basically has the, this is a larger cap. This one I think is an 8.5 by 8.5 from Highline. And the way it's constructed is that there is a silk piece here into which it covers another piece of material into which the hairs are sewn. So the hairs are sewn into that top layer, and then the underneath part is concealed with a piece of lace like you see there. So in doing that, it creates this really realistic, natural scalp if you have white skin, basically, right? So if you're Caucasian, this will match your natural scalp. It's quite pale. The color of silk that's selected is selected by the maker. Sharon does a good job of finding one that I think looks really natural and really realistic. And what that means is if anyone is standing over you, which at 5'2" and a bit, is pretty much everyone in my case, and they look down, it's going to look like a human hair scalp. You can't see any knots in there. You can't see anything that really doesn't look like real human scalp. It's pretty great. So that's the scalp difference. When you take a look at what I have here, which is a monotop that also has a bit of a lace front, because I can't find my regular monotop, you can see that there is also a realistic looking scalp, but I've scar taped there, so I'm going to move the part over. But you can also see, if I get close enough to the camera, I'm not sure if that's taking, little knots of where the hair has gone into the piece. So the hair is getting sewn directly into this piece, which I, as I said, had covered with scar tape, and I'll explain why in a second. But the hair is going directly into this piece, which is basically translucent. Like you can see through it. The air shines through it, and it means that you can see each individual knot that is made as the hair goes in. From the top looking down, it doesn't look as realistic as a silk top. However, and whatever color you put under it is going to show up. So if I part the hair way over here, away from that scar tape, and I put my finger under it, it looks like, right there, natural scalp. But if I put something dark under it, like dark hair, all of a sudden it looks darker, right? So in order to conceal that, I put a piece of beige scar tape, and that means that at the natural part line where I would part this piece, when you look at the part, it looks like human scalp, no matter what I put under it. Well, more or less. So that's the difference in terms of the scalp. This one's going to look less realistic. This one, the silk top, is going to look more realistic, but no one is going to be looking at your head, the top of your head, that closely. So in both cases, it should be fine. What's the difference then in terms of wearability? This piece is lighter. As I said, you can kind of see through it. It's going to be more breathable on the top. This one will not breathe. It's going to be warmer. It's going to be heavier to wear as well, because we've got the extra material, and also in this case, it's a much bigger cap, as you can see. So there's more hair, which just adds to the weight. So in general, silk tops will feel heavier. A monotop will feel lighter, but it's a trade-off for what is a more naturalistic, I don't think that's a word, but for a more natural looking scalp. What do I wear every day? This one. This is my go-to, is the silk top. Now let's talk about blending, because that's going to be another concern that you might have when you're trying to decide which piece is best for you. Silk top does not, I'm wearing one right now, and if I get really close, you can see it's not very well blended there. It's got this really heavy front part. It's kind of unavoidable in the way that it's created. So the hair has a tendency to want to droop and lay flat down and feel heavy in the front. If you have some of your own bio hair, like a sufficient amount of it, you can pull your bio hair out and blend it right in, and it will look then like this is growing out of your hair. So that's a huge advantage of having a silk top if you have enough bio hair. If you don't, you just have to be a little bit more patient in blending. So I've gone over this before, but you can use a root powder like the Boost and Blend powder I love. You can use a root spray like a L'Oreal root spray, or you can use hair fibers like the clingy hair fibers or Boost and Blend hair fibers that I use. The other thing that you can do is cut bangs into this. So if you are okay with having bangs on a silk top piece is going to give you such an easy blend and such a realistic look from the top looking down. It's going to be fantastic all the way around. So if you're a bang person, then I highly, highly, highly recommend a silk top. On the other hand, if you're not into bangs, wearing a monotop, you could still do a bang depending on the finish, but it's not going to probably work out quite as well. A monotop is going to usually end right at that hairline, like right where those last little bits of hair showing up is where it will end. Uniwigs here has created though a monotop that then goes into a silk top, a monotop that has gone into a lace top. And so what that allows is for you to cut the lace to your desired length, usually about a quarter of an inch long, and then glue it like with adhesive to your head. So then it looks like the hair is actually growing out of your scalp and you don't have that strange transition line that you're going to have with the silk top. So it'll allow it to just be glued down, and then you can actually run your fingers through your hair at the front. It's not going to necessarily be heavy and in your face falling down. So if you're someone who really likes to run your fingers through your hair, really likes that natural lift in the front, then maybe you want to go with something like a monotop to a lace front. That will give you a lot of flexibility, but you will have to glue it down, something to consider. And this becomes available in a lot of different sizes as well, depending on the company. Sometimes a 10 by 10, and then that lace should be actually a lot more taut, and you might not even need to glue it down. Now, a lot of monotops are sold without this lace front piece. It just ends, as I said, right where that hairline ends there. So how do you blend it? You need bio hair. So those pieces are not, and I'm trying to find mine right now and I can't, but I have the Courtney from Uniwigs, and I often wear her under a headband or under a baseball hat. But the way that she could be worn also is just right at your hairline. The most natural look though is going to be just a tiny bit behind the hairline actually, and then blending your bio hair in. So again, if you don't have a ton of bio hair, you're gonna have to work with that a little bit. But I don't have a lot of bio hair, and I make everything work. So it really just comes down to your commitment. But if you are a no blend girl, then my options are going to be either to cut bangs into your piece or to go with something that is lace at the front right from the get-go, get some adhesive and just jump into that. And then you don't have to worry about that transition line quite as much once you've got the lace cut to where you want and where you don't want it. So again, quick look at the difference. This is the monotop with wefting at the back. So the wefting is like strips of hair that are sewn in. This one is the silk top with wefting, again, strips of hair that are sewn in, you can see there. So those are the two options that are most commonly seen in human hair toppers. I don't know if you wear them. If you do, I'd love to know which piece do you most tend to go with. And if you are on the fence and thinking about jumping into the world of toppers, which one would you be going with, the monotop or the silk top? Let me know if you have questions or comments. As always, my DMs are open. So are the comments. I promise to respond to every single one of them. Thanks for being here. I'll talk to you again soon.